Let me give some examples of what I think of as such unspoken truths. A number of houses that this family lived in the 18th century still stand in Robin and Bergen counties. I consider them to be an invaluable primary source of historical evidence as family in that era. As a historian, I went down, measured them, explored rooms, took pictures of them, walked around the outside of them, tried them. But as a writer of historic fiction, I could go much further. I could gather up the details of 18th century life in the Hudson Valley in general, using both primary and secondary sources, and conjure out of them a detailed and nuanced and colorful picture of the life of a sick house. Families sitting at a table under the great arbor, making meals of some sweetie, and exchanging their views, say, tax on stamps, the decorated fabric. Did they do this? How could anyone know? Did it change? Just as it happens today, sit on our payos at this evening and discuss a tax on gasoline made with China. It probably happened. The historians can combine facts and objective details, but the writer of historical deeds are wild, masters of imagination, to embroider and embellish, to make up, to give a shape to the past, to bring the past alive in the present, to have her character drinking sweet tea of this evening under the great arbor. Another I'm going to read from our book. It's 1707, chapter 2. The character's name is Marie. She saw him across the lane, skulking out of the woods, sitting in the shade of the trees at the wood's edge, slyly skirting her domain, the wolf. He laughed at the water pond, in the duck pond, like Africans for a week. That was as good as to her safe from the all-seeing creature. She turned to the door, lifted her husband's musket down from his place on the dinner wall, and stepped with back out onto the stoop. The musket was always loaded. He put her in her courage. His lead already fired. He didn't her. He wanted a chicken too badly. She was a tall, strong woman, and she knew very well how to shoot. She raised the musket and aimed. Her die knocked her hands over her ears. Her each she broke down with one shot, and with from him, one unearthly screech. The board of supervisors paid a bounty on wolves. She replaced the musket on the wall and took up the rapier that had come down to us from his grandmother, whose name bears, Kozai. She remembered him, that old Kozai, remembered him from her child, striding cockily around New York, seeing a sharp little sword displayed in his waist. In the heyday of the old Dutch colony, the little city was called New Amsterdam. He had been a minor player. He was a wheelwright. Everyone needed the wheelwright. Beside the rapier, she took his finger to hard the wolf. The wolf was not a he, as it turned out. It was a she. Too bad. With 2 swift strokes of the sword, sliced off its ears, an acceptable substitute for the head required of the official practice, wrapped that bloody in a handkerchief, and tucked it into the deep pocket tied around her waist, over her to make up 4 shillings and 6 was not easy out. This happened? No, this was seen, nevertheless. It's research. Details about loading firing the musket come from Wikipedia. Loading firing the Brown Bess, the 18th century musket. Tales of Ricci's rescue from Linda Bengarden's wonderful book, What Clothes Reveal, Young Years and Colonial Birth. Details of bounty paid for wolf's head as substitutes come from the printed records of different supervisors. Details of the wheelwright and his rapier are found in Inferno, the records of New Amsterdam and science. Another example, also here in chapter 2, I'll read. The character is Ricci's mother-in-law, Ricci Science. Ricci had not only the house, the best flower garden, and on the south side of the house, the best herb garden, full of herbs to make her cooking tasty and herself and her family strong and healthy. She had been working on the flower garden for 30 years, had modeled it on the formal garden of Peter Stuyvesant's house in Firth, New Amsterdam, the island of Manhattan. As he had, she laid out the long and narrow rectangular beds, bordered edges of wood hair, stretched themselves out in the sun, perpendicular to a center path, leading out west side of the house. The flowers were bunched densely together, Dutch manner by type. Sunflowers here, carnations there, tulips, lilies, anemones, violets, roses, marigolds, each had its own little plot of earth within borders. The seeds of the animals carefully labeled, each type its own little white paper, so that she would not mix them in at sowtime. Father and mother had brought them originally from over the sea when they came in the last century. Seeds, seedlings, bare roots, and rooted slips of hawthorn and holly and linden trees too. The roots tucked in a tub of rich earth, ready for planting on their land when they got it. They had brought nuts too, and peach and plum and berry and apricots, and apple seeds from fatherland, and trees from all these were handmade and which he supported 90 years later. Did Ricci have that garden? I do not know, but we know from contemporary descriptions what flora exists in Netherlands, and we know that the settlers brought some of it with them from the Netherlands, in packets of paper and tubs of soil. We know that there works in the colony, a compilation of everything from information on diseases and medicinal herbs to designs of gardens and beds, to a calendar of cultivation of fruit trees and vegetables. We also know that Peter Stuyvesant had a formal position in the fort at the Manhattan, and we know that Ricci Kazans was a member of that church. That her first of 3 marriages was perfect, and that in her childhood she was a neighbor of Stuyvesant's in the so-called Outward, the country north of the wall, where he had his flower garden. Facts come together to make a plausible fiction. Third example, we know that the Hudson Valley were still divided as to whether to break with Great Britain or not. I know, as a historian of this particular family, which ones in the families were patriots and which ones were loyalists. Here is from chapter 18. The year is 1777. Margaret Blauvelt Isaac, a patriot. The next day, as she was getting ready to drive over to the river for an afternoon sighting of the squadron, this is the British fleet came up itself in the taxi, Isaac galloped up to her door and said, "Last night, the men of war launched 2 small boats and attempted to land at night," he reported breathlessly. "We killed 3 of them and wounded and drove the survivors rowing back to their ships." "Come in," she said, "come in and eat." "I have no time," he said. "I must be back to company." It was hot buns doing that. It was one of the dishes Marici had taught her to make long ago. She could still remember Marici chopping the bird into pieces, cooking it in water, adding clumps of toasted bread, cinnamon, ginger, saffron, syrup, marrow, pitted dates, slices of lemon. She still did it the same way. But now, with only mouths to feed, she had to triple the recipe. The house was filled with its fragrance. "Oh, Mother," he said, "capon, good spot, I cannot resist." And as always, he tied his horse to hitching posts in front of the house and followed her in. Dad was on the floor, he was stirring at her. Helena Westervelt, well, probably one of Don's answers. Helena Westervelt cut out linen for a red shirt, such as the militia wore. It was their uniform, field dress, almost the entire army as well, and much admired for its ability to strike her and the enemy, believing that everyone who wore it was first-class marksman. Rachel was spinning, Altie, big with child again, carted. Children raced in from the yard, after setting food to be served. Again, I invented the scene, but I founded it on facts. The details of military activity are from official sources. The recipe for capon stew is from P. Rose's translation, 17th century, used and published in English as the sensible cook of Dutch foodways in the old and new world. The crowded house was every house during the Revolution. Thousands of refugees poured out of New York City to find shelter in the not much less safe countryside. It is my most important primary and secondary sources in the foreword to the book, for they were vital to telling the story of land disputes and border controversies, of slavery and the Great Negro Plot 1741, of girls in the church split by controversy over the question of independency from the mother to Amsterdam, and of course the run-up to the Revolution, the war itself, and of my hero, the indispensable man, George Washington. And finally, of works on social background material culture. Such resources made researching and writing of Land-So-Fair an exciting process of peeling the banana. Land-So-Fair, I hope, will bring alive what might otherwise be lost, not the truth of the history told as a matter of objective truth, but of a bigger truth, a more important truth, a truth of the heart. I tried to write in Land-So-Fair, a truth of the heart, and if I have, after 25 years, I think I have finally finished my long sojourn into my family saga. Unless anyone thinks it would be good up.